is a free tool that is actually very powerful and is not Google Analytics. Think of Google Analytics as a presentation of what has happened. Google Analytics tells you who's come to your site, whether it was paid traffic, whether it was referred traffic, whether it was search traffic. It's all traffic, basically. And when I say all traffic, let me put a caveat there. It's all traffic that triggers JavaScript. That's important to note because some bots, for instance, will come to your site and they don't actually trigger JavaScript. In those cases, Google Analytics would not actually count those visits, which is good. But that's what Google Analytics does. It is a historical record of all the traffic. That's actually not 100% all that useful when we're talking about search engine optimization. Why would I say that? Well, because search engine optimization, is only concerned with organic traffic, traffic that you gained through referrals or through social media mentions is going to be great traffic. Yeah, that you want that, but that's not exactly the traffic that we're trying to advocate here. We're not trying to push that kind of traffic. What we need a tool that allows us to see search traffic, and that's what Google Search Console is. Search Console not only shows you the traffic that you've gained through Google Search, it also shows you the traffic that you didn't get. It shows you the missed opportunities. And that's a key important aspect right there. Because while Google Analytics shows you keywords that people use to be able to go to your site, it's better to see the whole picture and be able to see, well, how many people used other keywords that would have come to your site but didn't choose to come to your site. So I always tell people that Google Search Console is a record of what's happened within search and also a way to affect what's going to happen in the future. Because there's a lot of tools inside of Search Console. In this video, though, we're going to try to kind of keep it simple, and there'll be a series of videos. But so first off, let's talk about how do we add a site to Google Search Console. And it takes a little bit of time. Once you add it, you're not going to really have useful data that day. So just keep that in mind. But as you can see on my screen, I'm logged in, and this is ultimateseo.org's Google Search traffic. Google Search Console. And I can scroll down to the bottom here and click on Settings. Let me strike that. I'm going to come back to that part. Here's what I want. When you hit the drop-down box, okay, at the very bottom is Add Property. Once you click on Add Property, you'll be able to either add a site via the domain, which is the way that you want to do it, or via URL prefix. When I say URL prefix, I mean ultimateseo.org is a different site than www.ultimateseo.org. It may not be a different site, but technically it could be. And so this aspect here is just going to treat each variant as if it were a different site, which means if you want to track the whole sphere of what your root domain gets within Search Console, you're actually going to need to add it 4 times because there's HTTP and there's also HTTPS. You get to avoid that whole mess if you just put it here in domain, though, and that's 1 time. And that's what we're going to do. I'm going to add ultimatesem.com. It's a web address that I own. Haven't done too much with it, but it's worth having it in Google Console, right? So when you added it, it'll usually probably tell you that you need to verify your ownership of it. For me, in this wonderful demonstration video, it's already said, oh, yeah, we know it's yours. So that's great and dandy. Let's go and try to add a different address that might ask me to verify my ownership. Perfect. Okay, so now I have to be able to prove that I actually have this domain. The easiest way to do this is going to be just to add a DNS record. So I'm going to copy this, copy, and I'm going to need to go to the domain registrar's website. Notice they tell you go to GoDaddy or go to Namecheap, etc. So you may not know which domain registrar that you used. So let's see if maybe we can do a whois, okay? And then over here we can go to okay, so ultimatesmm.org is with NameSilo. I already kind of knew that, but just giving you an example. So we can go to NameSilo. I'm going to log in. I have two-factor set up on mine, so bear with me. I have to look up the code. And I recommend having two-factor on for anything and everything. Never be too careful. Two-factor again. Now, depending upon how your domain registrar is set up, you'll be able to add the necessary records. Okay, so within this one here, we're going to go to adding a text record. Sorry. I'm going to post this right here. And let's jump back and make sure there wasn't anything that needed to be put before that. And click verify. Okay. So then hit submit. It's important to notice there. So, and also within this video, so that's how we added it here. We've added it there within NameSilo. NameSilo is yelling at me and telling me that I don't use them for DNS and that I should. In that regard, I know that I use Cloudflare. So let's go into Cloudflare real quick. There we go. We're going to add a record again. Text record. And then actually, so here we're just going to put the @ symbol if it requires something there, which that asterisk means something's required, right? So, and then the content is the actual string that we were given, and we're going to hit save. And that has now been added right there. So I can now jump back. Generally, it takes 10-15 minutes, okay, for your DNS record to be available for Google to verify it. I can tell you though that usually with Cloudflare it's available pretty darn quick, so I'm going to hit verify. Okay, and it says no, it's not verified. We couldn't find your verification token in the text records. We found these DNS records instead. Sometimes DNS records take a while to, yeah. So it does take a few seconds, okay. So I gave too much credit to Cloudflare just now there. We can hit verify again. Yep, there we go. Now it's done. Okay, so now I can go to that property. So within that property, we can see ultimatesmm.org is here. Of course, now it says processing data, come back in a day or so. Processing data, come back in a day or so. Okay, so we can definitely come back in a day or so and do that. Because at this point, you've pretty much finished what you're able to do, okay? Once data starts getting populated for you, then we'll be able to do something with it. And I'm going to want to make another video about that. But so now you've added your site, and you've been able to see me add the DNS record to my domain name registrar, which is what you typically will need to do. Unless you've done what I've done, which is you're using a different DNS service for your DNS server, which I use Cloudflare, so I had to add it there. Didn't have to add it to both, just have to add it to the one that is your DNS server. Anyhow, check out the next video, which is we're going to talk about more within Google Search Console. Specifically, we're going to talk about how to find missed opportunities.